Welcome back everybody, Matt the Matt here, hope you're doing well. So this weekend we had the new Marvel movie, Thunderbolts, the Thunderbolts, come out. I was looking forward to this movie. I said on my last podcast talking about my most anticipated movies of the summer. This was, out of all the comic book movies, especially or all the Marvel movies coming out this year, this was my number one. You're my number one customer. You're my number one. I was looking forward to it. And meaning that yesterday was the 17th anniversary of the first Iron Man movie, we have now had 36, that's right, 36 Marvel movies in 17 years. Wow. Meaning that the last phase of Marvel has not lived up to the name Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm happy to say that Thunderbolts is finally Marvel getting back to what they were good at before Endgame. To me, this is probably the best Marvel movie since Endgame. You know why? There's no gimmicks. It's not a gimmick movie. There's no cameos. There's no characters we've seen before, like in Shang-Chi, Trevor Slattery, Ben Kingsley. There's no, we're going to bring back that famous actor who played our beloved Spider-Man in 2002, 2004, and 2007 in the name Tobey Maguire. We're going to bring back Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, for Deadpool and Wolverine, because everybody loves Hugh Jackman. I love Hugh Jackman. This isn't gimmick. There's no gimmick here. Or whatever, like some of these other Marvel movies that we're going to make the Marvels lie. It sucked. The Turtles, nobody wants. And finally, I'm like, other than probably Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I still don't consider the best Guardians movie, Marvel has not made, like I said, their last movie, Captain America Brave New Snooze Fest, no. That movie didn't work. And it's like, so you had the last movie didn't work at all. The one before that was a gimmick, just to bring back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And then the one before that, the Marvels? That bombed. Ant-Man 3 was bad. Shang-Chi, for some reason I can never get past the third act. I don't know why. The Turtles? No. Nobody wanted. Spider-Man No Way Home? We're going to give you Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And Alfred Molina and William Dafoe. Only focus on that. If you look at the overall movie, it doesn't quite work. And I'm a Spider-Man fan outside of Batman. So, I would much rather watch a Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie or a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, individual movie, than watch both of them in the same movie together. Like I said, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Black Widow. Too late. Sorry. That movie should have came out after Civil War, before Infinity War. It don't matter when the character is already dead. Nobody cares. So yeah, the MCU, since the Endgame, has been, for lack of a better word, yep. I did that on Just the Fly. I could be an actor. I could be like Trevor Slattery. But anyway, Thunderbolts is back to greatness. And what I like about this movie, it doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. The cinematography is muted and grays and blues. The movie itself deals with themes like mental health and depression and loneliness in a Marvel movie. And they deal with that stuff. They don't just now could they have gone further? Probably. But once again, when you look at a movie like last summer's Inside Out 2, that took it as far as it could take it without going too far to the point of the kids aren't going to get it. Parents are going to wonder why they brought their kids. And I think that's the same for Marvel. Even though Marvel did go pretty far, we even got abuse, like parents abusing their child. And they went far enough that I say, hey, way to go, Marvel. You took a leap, you took a chance, and it paid off. Even the director, it feels like this doesn't feel like a movie directed by a committee. It feels like a director had a vision in the studio, let him do it. Just like James Gunn with Guardians, just like Ryan Coogler with Black Panther, just like Ant-Man, Peyton Reed with Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man, just like John Favreau with the first Iron Man. It feels like the director let him do what he wanted to do. And I like that. So let's get into the main stuff. Florence Pugh. This is Florence Pugh's movie. She is our POV. She is our narrator at the very beginning. She opens the movie. This is really her journey in this film. A character that was a B-level character in Black Widow 4 years ago is now the main character in this Thunderbolts movie. And, I mean, it's Florence Pugh. She's become one of my favorite actors to watch ever since 2017 in Fighting With My Family. And then she had Ms. Damar, the Little Women remake, and other movies, even last year's We Live in Time with Andrew Garfield. I mean, anything with the Florence Pugh, Oppenheimer, anything with Florence Pugh, who got my ticket. And her, she brings it all. She brings the humor, she brings the very dark moments, very emotional moments, the chemistry with her and David Harbour as pseudo father-daughter works great. Her scenes with Louis Pullman, Bob, we're going to get to Bob, are some of the most emotional core moments in the movie. Though it was very smart of Marvel to put all the weight on Florence Pugh. Because she, pew pew, gets the job done. David Harbour, Santa Claus. I love David Harbour. Who doesn't love David Harbour? I mean, whether it's in the Black Widow movie, he was hilarious. Whether it's, the Santa Claus movie, forgetting the name of Violent Night, that he was in a couple years ago. And then Stranger Things, like I said. I mean, David Harbour's great. He's hilarious in this movie. He brings most of the humor, and it's good humor. It's not the humor like in other Marvel movies where they have a serious moment and they cut it with humor. No, they let the serious moments play out and the funny moments play out on their own. Not together, separate. And David Harbour brings a lot of that humor. He's great, And they even make a reference, oh, what are you, Santa Claus? I love that moment. Or when he's in the desert and his limo's going through, and Elena's just like, oh my god, no. And then he comes out of the limo, Elena! It's me! It's hilarious. Louis Pullman, his name is Bob. Hey Bob. They keep saying that throughout the movie. It becomes almost like a joke. In fact, you can play a drinking game as many times as they say the word Bob. Bob, Bob, Bob. I don't think Disney would approve of that. Oh great, we said his name so many times, now someone came up with a drinking game. But the funny one is Lewis Pullman, when he was cast in the movie, he's like, can we change the name? Because I just played a character, 3 years ago in Top Gun Maverick. Can we, and they didn't change it. Lewis Pullman really surprised me in this movie. He's another one where I remember him all the way back into The Strangers Pray at Night, the sequel in 2018, where he played the brother of the main actress. Her name, Bailey Madison. And I remember back at him in that movie, and I'm like, oh, he's alright. Now here he is, Top Gun Maverick. Now this movie, he's the son of Bill Pullman, Independence Day, giving that great speech. And he's great in this movie. He is, at first he's, mysterious, you don't know what his deal is, who is he, what is he doing in this whole thing. But we really see later on in the movie, he can bring that emotional stuff, that range as an actor, and he really bulked up for the role. The Marvel way. You're a skinny or fat guy. When you join a Marvel movie, you're gonna bulk up and be ever impressive. And I thought he did a great job. Wyatt Russell as Walmart Captain America. He's the asshole of the group. He's the asshole Captain America. We had the good Captain America, Steve Rogers, and with Wyatt Russell, we have the asshole Captain America. Wyatt Russell is the son of Kurt Russell, so we have Bill Pullman's son and Kurt Russell's son in a Marvel movie. Yay. I love the team dynamic. It kind of reminded me of in the first Avengers when Cap, Iron Man, and Thor meet in the forest and they're fighting and bickering with one another, trying to get to know who the other one is. We see that play out in this movie, in this bunker, with Taskmaster, Ghost, Dime Store Captain America, Yelena, and Bob. And I thought that was great. The humor, like I said, this movie doesn't do the typical Marvel humor of serious moment. Now we're going to cut it with humor. The humor is played out great. It's funny. It's more adult. Right? There's a lot of sexual innuendos and sexual humor in this movie that I didn't even think Marvel would say. Like, there's a line that Yelena says, and I went, oh! Did they just say that in a Marvel movie? I expect that like in a teen comedy, or like a raunchy comedy, but this is a Marvel movie. They're finally being adult. Like I said, the cinematography, darker, muted colors, it goes along with the story and tone of the film. Great. That's why I said this movie is more mature than I would say almost any Marvel movie. I think you might have to go back to maybe Captain America, the Winter Soldier, or Civil War, or Infinity War and Endgame. I think it's darker. It's one of the darkest films in the MCU, tone-wise, story-wise, even dialogue in moments. The whole third act is very dark and very in your head, dealing with mental health and abuse. And I was like, whoa, they're really going there. This movie's very character-driven. There's action, there is plenty of action in the movie, but then there's also a lot of character, dealing with character dynamics, characters, where they are in their life and how they are. Pacing. I don't know about you people, This had to be the fastest Marvel movie I have ever seen. Because when the movie ended, I thought, oh no, we still got another third act. We got the third act. No, that's the end of the movie. I think, no. This movie can't already be over. It felt like it was only like an hour long. This is a 2+ hour movie. How is this movie over already? Some of my negatives with this movie. I didn't get where this movie fell in the timeline. Like the Julie Louis-Dreyfus character mentions, oh, we can't trust the president. Because, he turned into that red monster, which we just saw in Captain America Brave New World. But then, like, Yelena, when she runs into David Harbour again, Red Guardian, she's like, oh, I haven't seen you in a year. It's been a year. So I'm thinking, is she talking about the events of Black Widow? Essentially, Black Widow the timeline of Black Widow is between Civil War and Infinity War. And then we had the 5-year jump in Endgame. So this is at least 6 or 7 years later since Black Widow, where she's saying, I haven't seen you in a year. So I was like, I'm very confused. So I was trying to figure out where the movie takes place. This movie is 3 years too late. Most of the characters, like Ghost, we haven't seen since 2018 in Ant-Man 2, Taskmaster, Red Guardian, Yelena. We saw in Black Widow in 2021, 4 years ago. Even Wyatt Russell as Dinosaur Captain America and Bucky, we haven't seen since Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV series. That was also in 2021. So this is a movie that should have came out at the end of 2021 instead of Spider-Man No Way Home, or in 2022 instead of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Because this is like 3 to 4 years too late. Because you're watching this movie, you're like, okay, what movie was that from? What was that? And really, once we were introduced to these characters, I feel like, okay, where were you when I last saw you? And Yelena is still dealing with the death of her sister. Obviously, Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson. So I'm also like, okay, when did this movie take place? Because she's still dealing with the death of her sister. Well, she died in Endgame. And that was in 2019. Or 2025. I don't know, depending on the timeline in the movie. But in our timeline, that was 6 years ago. So, is she still grieving from the death of her sister? I mean, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen in real life. People grieve differently, and it could take many years to finally move on from somebody. Maybe even 12, maybe 13. I don't know. I'm just saying. Experience? Maybe. But, no, but okay, she said she's still grieving from the death of her sister. When did this movie take place? That was Bob. Getting back to Bob. Uncle Bobby me. In the second act of the movie, I won't spoil too much, but we see Bob in a certain part, in a certain moment in his life. And then the next time we see Bob, he's a completely different person. It's like they cut out like 5 to 10 minutes, or at least a scene or two, seeing the arc of Bob. We do not see the arc of Bob. No arc. Uncle Bobby doesn't have an arc. Between this moment and this moment. We're missing the arc. So that was kind of weird. I don't know if they did it for timing reasons, but I think they should have put at least one scene in that middle. So that would be like, oh, Even if it was like a little montage, just a minute long montage, just to see from A to B. B for pop. And like the typical Marvel movie, this movie has a happy ending. I won't spoil it, but for how dark this movie is, and even in moments like near the end where it gets super, super dark, we go for the happy ending. And I'm like, no. You should have that ending, but with the events that happened, you should have left that alone. That would have been dark. And still have major ramifications moving forward. Now I wish that Marvel didn't go with the happy ending. They were doing great. This very different Marvel movie, very dark, very mature, dealing with issues of depression, loneliness, mental health, But then you end it on a happy note. I still really enjoyed this movie. I would still give it a 4.8 out of 5. I think that might be one of the highest rated Marvel movies I've had since Endgame in a while. But overall, Thunderbolts. I think it's great. And I can't wait to watch this later on when it comes out on Disney Plus or on Blu-ray. And hopefully it still lives up to what I feel about it today. But let me know in the comments below for the 36th Marvel movie. Were you a fan of Thunderbolts? Are you going to go see this in the theater? Let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, Matt in the back.